Dink to death.
Dink to death. Dink 'em to death. Next
Yeah,
t-shirt.
next t-shirt. Very good. Wow.
You're tuned in now to this pickleball life. I'm K Dubs and Jilly B is my wife. She's the pro and I've got the filler. She's sweet to me, but on the court she's a killer. Unadulterated and efficiently bringing you the best and worst things in PB. Tell your friends and stay for another. And no one loves us more than your mother. One thing's for sure, one hit and you're addicted. Grab a pile, grab a court, don't resist it. So click subscribe, let's go, let's get cracking. Things on gun, let's go, let's get laughing. This pickleball life.
Go ahead. Test my paddle.
Is this episode 6?
It is episode 6, and can I just say that I love your shirt. Pickleball is my happy place.
Happiest of places.
And that we do an awful job of plugging pbgods.com, and Mother's Day is coming up, and you can get all the funnest, is that a word? Coolest, no, not a word, awesomest pickleball gear
Also
for the women in your life. I used 2 out of 3 non-words.
Yeah, that's the best. That's when you know you're creative. When you're using words that sound like English but aren't English.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. And I just want to say before we get started, in addition to how great your shirt is and how great pbgods.com is, how much I appreciate the veracity with which you have approached this podcast. And it's 7:14 p.m. Pacific right now. We're getting picked up for the airport in 6 hours to go to Charlotte for the PPA. And your pugnaciousness about doing the pod before we leave is so amazing. I think if you approached our taxes with that same attitude, I mean,
that's the thing about taxes is like I'm fully aware that it shouldn't be a problem for me, but that's also why I married you.
The organizer.
Yeah.
Why I'm the MLP team captain of Dallas Pickleball Club, the administrator.
Don't be too good at a job.
You don't want wall of wisdom.
Yes.
What's up?
Yes. I'm really honestly bad at that. Like I am way too good at loading the dishwasher and vacuuming the floor and scrubbing the shower door. Yeah, and I'm usually way too good at all the jobs I don't want. And not good enough at the jobs I do. No, I'm just kidding. But I am a glutton for punishment.
Oh, my favorite job that you're good at that you don't want is when you find the laundry dryer pulley majigger thing.
The
lint trap.
Lint trap?
That's what it's called. Lint trap.
Yeah, she's so bad at the lint trap, she doesn't even know what the lint trap is called.
Yeah. And Kristin pulls the lint trap out and sees it's just like fire hazard full and goes,
literally.
And goes,
Am I the only one who ever cleans the lint trap in here?
100%. We could have a TikTok where it's just you complaining about the chores that you do around the house, but you're singing the complaint.
Fun fact, the Melissa Etheridge song, Am I the Only One, applies to all the jobs that you do that you feel like no one does, which I think you probably have 3 or 4 of those. What do you do that you're like, Kristin, come on?
How long do we have? How long is the pod?
You were trying to make this a 30-minute pod.
All right.
So.
I usurped your pod introduction with the fact that your shirt looks great and don't be too good at a job you don't want. So here you go. Open us up, Kristin.
Yeah. Well, I thought that since last week we talked a lot about, paddle testing and your Tyler experience, and we never really covered my tournament experience, which, by and large is a more common experience because most people aren't pickleball pros. So I wanted to cover just like a couple things that I think might be interesting to some of our listeners.
Before you do, I'd like to issue a formal apology. In the last podcast, I made a joke in the opening about how when you come home, you say, oh, I recorded a bunch of my 3.5 video. Do you want to watch it? And you are a 4.25. And I just want to be clear that you're duper.
Still complaining about watching the videos, but just clarifying the skill set.
Correct. I want to be clear that I'm still complaining about having to watch your videos and analyze them, but the skill set is a 4.25.
Gotcha. Yeah, that didn't make it any better because I don't really care. Honestly, a lot of the people I play against are 3-5, so it is a 3-5 match in that regard. And I have played in 3-5 brackets, so whatever.
Well, with that said, tell us about your amateur experience.
So I did play 4-0 this week, and 2 different partners that were first-time partners. One is someone I had played rec games with, Nicole, who is a mutual friend, and I think we saw her play her first pickleball ever, got her started in pickleball, and it's been fun to see her growth and trying to navigate the world of pickleball in New York City, where even the moms of the 12-year-olds are trying to kick you off the cracked courts and the asphalt pitch. But then I also played with a friend of a friend in mixed, and navigating that first-time partnership, making sure you're figuring out, are we stacking, are we staying, are we communicating, and not necessarily having a full history of that's your ball, you love that shot. Like I would say, I feel when I play with Emily, and I know she's on the same bandwagon, but making sure that when you play with a first-time partner, just like when you hire a caddy as a golfer, you tell that person how you like to play. And if you believe in the Jilly B methodology, a big part of that is when you're serving, you do not crash the net unless you know what your partner is doing, or you know that their thirds or their drives are on. And it's always interesting playing with people who haven't been introduced to that very, very important factor. Like even today, playing with your brother-in-law, Aiden, and
did he just run up blindly after every third?
Yeah, basically.
He's like, I call that the kamikaze pilot.
I'm not getting to the net, and I was like,
oh boy,
no, actually, that's not the problem. You're getting to the net too soon.
This is like when I have a student say my dinks are too high.
Right.
I'm like, you're missing 44% of them in the net.
Right. And again, just like putting in golf, you got to get it past the hole. In pickleball, you got to get it over the net. I mean, everyone, I want you to close your eyes and remember the last time you hit a shot you thought was bad, and then you watched your opponent slam it straight into the bottom of the net.
Yeah, all the time.
It happens all the time.
At the pro level too. And not to usurp your thunder here, but speaking of first-time partnerships, I'm playing with a ultra-talented gentleman, Jake Kuzmitter, this week. The Lion King. And we're playing...
Okay, I'm done.
And we're playing against Annalie Waters and Jack Sock, top 20 in the world male tennis player. And obviously Annalie Waters, #1 female and GOAT, arguably greatest of all time female. And Jake and I are texting all day today about, like strategy. And it's funny because you'd think like it's so obvious. Like, oh, do this, hit this person here at this side of their hip. And it's really, I can't tell you how many times I haven't aligned with a strategy with my mixed partner.
Yeah,
especially.
And these are the best of the best in the world.
Yeah.
Who've been playing for years.
Totally.
And they still have completely differing opinions.
But everything Jake texted me, I agreed with. And everything I texted him, he was like totally in line. So I don't know if that means.
Can we get like a top 3?
Let me guess. You want my strategy?
Let's see. This is the real test. I have had an unlimited access to one of the top 20 pros of the world of pickleball. And this is what I would say is the Jilly B methodology.
I mean, we have 3 keys going into that match. Go ahead.
Okay. One, of course, I kind of mentioned, like, stay at the baseline, defend every ball until you get the right ball, until you get the right third or the right drive, and you get the opportunity to
that's
crash.
an in general philosophy. Yes, do not rush in.
But there are people who totally play the opposite, correct?
Correct.
At the pro level, at the 5-0
But are you
level.
trying to guess
B.
the 3 keys for this specific match? Or
No.
just in general?
Not necessarily, but perhaps. And then The next would be
I have three
thirds
keys.
in front of you.
I have three keys
versus
for like
cross-court.
good mixed philosophy.
Okay.
Is that what
okay.
you're trying to do? Because
Okay,
I
well,
like
let me
it
guess
so
my
far.
3.
I like it so far. No, I
and
like your
then-
first one.
Yeah.
And
So-
then for your second one, I wouldn't say hit all thirds right in front, because if you have a guy in front of you or a girl, they can earny, so more like front to middle.
front middle,
Yep.
front but not corner. And with that comes the idea of speed ups in front of you. Like, start your own mess. Don't cross court
Yep.
speed up to get your partner in trouble. Unless, and this is the asterisk to number 2, not number 3, but unless you have such an awkward
Yeah.
opponent mix where you're like, my partner's hands are so good and my opponents are so iffy across the court for me that I'm actually hitting a
Yeah.
bait ball to create their speed up so that my partner can put it away.
Yeah,
But
you're totally right.
Forget
So
that.
in short,
And then your third one, let me just guess.
Oh, I
And then
thought that
wanna
was the
hear
third
yours.
one.
No, that was the asterisk to number 2.
Oh,
And
asterisk
then your
to number
third
2.
Jilly B philosophy of life is, for me, footwork. Mm-hmm. This is obviously not what you said to Jake Kusmitter, but like my biggest flaw being like paddle first, ass second. You want ass first, paddle comes along with it.
Could we make
no
a shirt that
left-handed
says
shots?
Yeah, could we make a shirt that says ass first, paddle second?
Wait, I thought it was paddle first, ass second.
No, that's your problem.
I mean, one it says on the front and the other it says on the back.
The ball starts moving like away from you and your paddle watches it and moves with it, but your body doesn't. So no,
Yeah.
I want you to move your legs first. Move to the ball first. Your paddle goes with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I can
Okay, so
reveal
give me
my three keys here
keys.
to
Just in
to
case Anna
beating-
Bright's listening.
to beating Anna Lee and Jack Sock, but it involves a
Anna Lee.
lot of dinking to Jack Sock. I hope you're ready to just be dinked to death. Dinked to death.
Dink 'em to death. Next
Yeah,
t-shirt.
next t-shirt. Very good. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's close to the Chick-fil-A Dink or Die.
But no, I totally agree with you. So going into a first-time partnership, when are we going up? When are we staying back? What's the philosophy there? I was playing with Sarah Ansbury obviously last week. And I said, hey, sometimes I hit a third high, don't go up. And she looks at me and goes, that's my happy place. And she's totally right. Like 5 feet off the kitchen line, she's impenetrable. And it was really eye-opening for me to see, because I think I get stuck in this mode of like stay back or go all the way up, do nothing in between. I really admire Jessie Irvin's game, a female pro. If you don't know who that is, you should go watch some of her video, because she'll take all the time in the world to come up and she'll be really comfortable hitting shots from no man's land. And I'm trying to bring more of that attitude into my game. And so actually I'm kind of in real time, right? Evolving the way I play as I learn more and the game evolves. So yeah, I think just having that understanding with your partner on, am I going to drive most of my thirds and are you going to crash? Am I going to hit my thirds? Am I going to roll them? And am I going to roll them in front of me? Am I going to roll them cross court? Like I always say, like pickleball, you can cheat in because you can talk to your partner. You can tell your partner what you're going to do. And I can't tell you how many people I teach who are dead silent and don't tell their partner what they're doing. I was playing with Sarah and she goes, right before she hits her third, she goes, I'm going up, and tells me she's hitting a lob. That's like super helpful information for me to know.
Yeah. I thought you meant she's going
No,
up to
no,
the
so
net.
she's hitting
it high.
She's saying that there. She goes, going up, elevator up. It's really important information.
Yeah.
If you're not talking to your partner, you are wasting a huge opportunity to quotation mark cheat.
Yeah. And in that regard, does that mean you fully can't do any of that in tennis, or you're just saying like that's always a good idea in racket
It's the
sports?
same rule in tennis. You can
Okay.
communicate while the ball is on your side of the court.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So when the ball crosses the plane of the net, you should stop your communication with your partner, your vocal communication.
Yeah. My favorite on-court communication is commentary on the shot that was just hit.
Woo!
Oh, good get. Oh, we're still going. Okay. But yeah, so I had a fun experience, and what was I think unique to circle back on last week's amateur experience for me was we played a round robin in the women's because we had 5 people in our bracket And then with just one more person, with 6 in my mixed bracket, we went to a bracket, a double elimination, which is like a 1.5 elimination, a double elimination asterisk. What do they even call that now?
It's called an in and out double.
Is it really?
No, I just made that up. I just made that up.
I just realized you were talking about burgers.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the PPA modified their bracket double elimination system to be that you can't get to the gold medal match without being undefeated. But if you are defeated, you go into a back draw.
I like that.
For third, which honestly for amateurs, like having played at 9 p.m. for a plastic medal, come on, like I don't care that much. Let's just play. If we win, we win. Make it easier, make it simpler. But I think the round robin is great. And we got to lose 3 and then still play one more. And that one more was our only win. We played in the 19 plus, and that was the one combined down from the 35 plus. I felt like that was my bracket. And it was a friend of mine, and I had a ton of fun playing that 4th match. And
all of your losses were like 14-12, 13-11. And I attribute that to me not being there.
Exactly.
I'm so sorry. What an inconvenience. I had my own matches to play. I apologize for that.
I was missing my banana.
My own, your banana carrier. No, you're my banana carrier. Anyway, and my electrolyte.
Not too good at a job she doesn't want. She's bad at that job. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it really diminishes you when we call you my banana carrier. You also carry my electrolytes. Mm-hmm. You carry the pack that holds all of those items.
Your dirty, sweaty clothes.
My dirty, sweaty clothes. So we have to think of a more like all-encompassing term for the
versus
the hardship
banana hammock.
And the true
isn't cutting it. Banana hammock is not.
No.
Not my
but
title.
Just for the true service that you are producing, we need a better term.
All right, we'll work on it.
Water girl. No,
write
but what
us
I was
a comment
say,
with what I should be called. Am I a caddy? Am I a coach? Am I a significant banana carrier?
Significant banana carrier. That's way better than significant other. But what I was going to say was your matches were all like 13-11, 14-12. These were really a lot of 3 game matches.
No, I literally had like 4 matches go past 11.
And to what I attribute that is I wasn't there to give you your proverbial timeout advice to be like, you're hitting every ball to the stronger player. And sometimes in these 4-5 and under matches, it's literally as simple as that. And I can't tell you how many times I see in mixed, like, oh, we're going to target the girl. I'm like, the girl's a half a point duper better than the guy, which happens all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's like these little strategic reminders that everyone can take from this. Like, ask yourself the really basic questions. Are we hitting the majority of balls to the correct person? Okay, question number 1. Question number 2, do we have the right heads-up strategy? Meaning, I know I usually play the left, but frankly, my hands are really good. Maybe I should play the right and be in front of the other person who has really good hands because my partner keeps getting attacked. So if you can just ask yourself these like very basic, very fundamental questions. Am I hitting it to the right person, aka the weaker person? Am I in the right head-to-head matchup? And am I giving my opponents the opposite of what they want? So I say in every single matchup, there's usually a person that likes it slow,
likes it hard,
and a person that likes it fast.
Who likes to dink.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And be sure to give them the opposite. And if you could just ask yourself those 3 fundamental questions every time you step on the court, it's pretty amazing how much easier the game becomes.
Totally. And obviously, you've said that enough to me that I was trying to do those things and figure that out. And we'll never know how poorly I did. But yeah, I mean, when you think about games that end up 12-10, anyone can win those. So it was there, and I feel pretty good about that, being that it was a first-time partnership.
A lot of those can even come down to what sides did you pick in on a windy day.
Yeah.
At TTC in Newport Beach, where the wind is a factor.
Yeah, and it was a super factor in the mixed day. It was very windy, and we won our first game 11-1, and then proceeded to lose 10-12, 10-12.
That's the wind.
And we're up
at least
like
for that second game
at one point in the third. So
yeah, then you switch sides and get back on the other side.
Just not being smart. Like that was there for us to win. But it's pickleball. It's amateur pickleball.
One of my mentors said to me once, you never lose, you just learn. And I totally agree with that.
You learn. Had to do it. Yeah, I think there's something to be gleaned from every missed shot.
For sure.
Every missed game. And I think that's super true in golf because, as I always say, there's so much failure. So you got to take something from it. And what I took from my experience was both my partners were super positive. Mm-hmm. Neither of them were rolling their eyes. Both of them were super happy to have me as a partner and pumping me up every chance they got. And I was really grateful for that. And I will always pick that over a better skilled player.
No kidding. And I feel the same, and I'm a professional athlete.
Yeah. And even on, I think it was Travis's podcast and him being a player and an owner of an MLP team, Travis Rettenmaier.
Tennis Sucks is the name of his podcast.
Yes. And he not only played professional tennis and then named his podcast Tennis Sucks, but he is a player and an owner of the Florida Smash, and he was like, it is all about mesh.
Always.
I mean, obviously all these players are good, but I don't really care if you're a better player. I care if you're a better player with the other person on our team that's on the same side of the
I could
net.
spend an entire podcast talking about why some of the top players in the world are not great MLP teammates. And
absolutely.
That's
and
not
we've
what this podcast is for, but you're completely correct.
Yeah, we're going to get a chance to delve into just a smidge of that
Yeah.
with
I
with
do
the
want to
shuffle
talk
draft in a bit.
A
but
little
we'll
bit
get to that.
MLP.
So I think that pretty much wraps it in a bow. Hopefully no one I played on the amateur court thought I was a psychotic person. I get sometimes kind of animated. It's kind of like what you said where you'll like celebrate or like give yourself a quick smack on the leg when you're frustrated. For me, my frustration is like kind of a Indian war cry. Mm-hmm. And then I'm able to move on. But it's like a celebratory, like, you were there! You got your paddle on it! And then I'm able to move on.
So we usually do a Dear Jilly B segment, but we had someone write in a Dear K Dubby question, which basically means you're famous, congratulations. So the question is, Kristin, you started playing pickleball really less than 2 years ago, your first ever tournament. You have no racket sport experience other than a few junior high school and high school tennis sessions, like very few.
No, it was actually even worse. It was like I was 5 to 7 years old, and then I never touched a paddle until I was 27.
Right. So with limited to no racket sport experience, you started 2 years ago, and you're 4.25. What have been the 2 or 3 keys to that ascension for you?
It's funny you should mention that because I was actually thinking about that today. I would say I've basically gone from a 3.0 to a 4.1. I mean, at some point I think I was a 4.2, but who knows? And I think a big part of it is anticipation. And I remember in the beginning, sometimes you or other players would talk about like, well, obviously the only place they can go is cross court over there, down the line over there. Or of course, because of this, they were going to do that. And I would be like, wait, because of what and how? Why wouldn't they? And
the geometry of the court. So you understand the geometry of the court.
And the logic. And then the only thing that surprises me now is people who like hit the shot they're not supposed to, basically. And I can't tell you how often I'm like, okay, they're going to go down the middle. I pinch the middle. They hit right to me. And I'm like, boom, right there.
So did that just come from playing tournaments? Did that come from being coached by me? Did that come from watching YouTube videos, an amalgamation of those things?
Yeah, I definitely don't watch YouTube videos enough to say anything.
This is making me want to do like the geometry of pickleball. Like someone throws up a shot here, where are the only 2 places this shot can go? And
the just like beginner's guide to pickleball. Yeah. And I think a lot of the beginner's guide to pickleball is good for people who've been playing a year or two and just like, whoopsie, missed some obvious things like, hey, maybe stay at the baseline until your partner hits a decent third. Yeah. But I think at the 3.75 to 4.25 level, what's kind of a struggle is that you see so many green balls. If anyone's watched Jill's green, yellow, red, green being balls, like above the net, yellow being at the tape, and red being below the tape. You see so many green balls, it's hard not to speed everything up. Yeah. And there are times where it's like, just because I can, doesn't mean I should.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of times in a match when I'm feeling a little lost, that's the key, is actually to semi slow down, but not necessarily like full, dink everything, but mixing in some resets until you get like the really green ball where you've got them just sort of like on bad footwork, panicking. So yeah, number 1 is anticipation, just seeing the geometry of pickleball. Number 2 is that not just hitting and hoping, but like having some plan. And that means sometimes I have a plan and I hit it in the net.
Yeah.
But I hit it in the net with intention and with aiming and with a strategy, or like I'm hitting all our shots to this person, or I'm keeping everything in front of me. I'm probably just that sort of swagger of being like, yeah, I should be on the left. And now when I play and someone else wants to be on the left, I'm like, all right, like we'll play straight up, but I'm not stacking you on the left.
Good
like,
girl.
I may not be the most powerful person on the court, but
you know how to own the court when you need to own the court.
Yeah. And
Good.
even like today where I had a few opportunities to catch the thing in the air and I did let it bounce, I was still already in my head going, oh yeah, I should have been there. Should have been there to put that aggressive push onto my opponent, not to make them comfortable keeping me back. Like,
Good.
They can't keep me back if they're going to hit it, 3 feet above the net. I'm there.
Well, I think
So,
that was a
that's
nice,
big.
like what you just described is a nice progression. So it was like basics, really understand the geometry of the court, not being surprised that a ball went where it did because there's a natural geometry to it. And then the second facet you talked about was what?
So anticipation, being able to aim and have an intention.
Okay, so second being strategy, aim, intention. And then third, which I love so much, confidence. Like to me, that's what you just said.
Yeah.
Was how do I own my side of the court, left or right, and be confident in everything I'm doing. Like that was just such like a beautiful progression. It was like foundation, strategy, confidence.
Mental.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I always say in golf, every shot's hit between your ears, right? So you don't move until you say go. And what's great about racket sports is that they're reactionary, so you don't have too much time to overthink things. And yet it's still sometimes those moon balls, and you're like, what do I do? Should I let it bounce? Should I
No, never let it bounce.
Hit it in the net.
Never let it bounce.
Never let it bounce.
Next
That's our next shirt. But I think that one thing I do well that a lot of people at my level don't is, as I like to joke, my favorite shot is the what?
Your favorite shot is the off
It's a trick
speed
question.
speed up. The off speed
My
speed
favorite
up.
shot is the leave.
Oh, let it go out.
And people hit so many out balls.
At the pro level, you can always tell like an up and coming pro from a seasoned pro by the number of out balls they hit. And sometimes I'll play against, I don't want to name names, but a pair we played in St. George that just kept hitting every out ball, every out drive I hit. And I was like, I'm just going to keep hitting that drive over and over. Like if they're going to keep hitting it,
Yeah.
why would I stop?
And why would you try and hit a lower percentage shot when they'll just rip them all?
No, 100%. And that's what I did. And they literally never left one ball.
Yeah. And then there's the like your partner's saying out, me out, and then they flinch and
I know.
like pseudo hit it.
I need to do a whole podcast on that. Like
Yeah.
when your partner says out as loud as they can in your ear and you're already hitting the ball and you flinch, like how do you mentally recapture any modicum of focus or
Yeah.
how do you listen quicker?
Yeah. I actually have one question that does still happen. Like I'll be actively trying to leave a ball sometimes and it'll clip my paddle. Do you think it's better to get out of the way by rotating away from the net or by pulling your paddle in? Or is that just like such an instinctual thing that you can't train it?
So I've been watching this show on the human mind and the human body lately. And last night they did an episode.
I'd say we've been watching, but I usually make it through about 5 minutes,
and then fall
asleep, and Jill watches the next 45. So
and
go on.
the last episode was on reactions and what actually like chemically happens in your body and your mind as you have a reaction. It's made me want to order these. Have you seen these blaze pods, like these lights?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
It's literally like a cat toy.
Yeah, for those of you who can't see us right now, it's like literally a little circle that lights up and you have to hit it really quickly with your hand or your foot, and then you're basically playing this game of blazing lights and trying to touch them quickly.
Basically like a $300 version of whack-a-mole.
Literally a $300 version of whack-a-mole, which is why we don't own it yet. Blaze Pods, sponsor us. What's up? But
Hungry Hippos sponsor us.
It is literally Hungry Hippos, but for millennials who have $300 to spend and who think they're going to be pro pickleball players or who are pro pickleball players.
Just shot our chances at getting sponsored by Blaze Pods.
100%. No,
sure.
The comparison to whack-a-mole just killed that. So in short, this is something I'm really fascinated about and learning about in real time is, can I train my hand-eye to get faster and faster and faster outside of just going and playing pickleball against people with fast hands? And I think the answer to that is abso-freaking-lutely. And so when you go to leave a ball and your paddle touches it, I would just say that's literally like a reaction mechanism in your body that you can speed up, and you should not be moving your paddle. What did I just talk about 17 minutes ago on the pod? Body first, paddle second.
Right. So you're saying that my body should be moving out of the way before my paddle moves out of the way.
Yeah, your instinct is your paddle.
When it's also, if you think about like if you're in ready position, your paddle's already in front of you.
Yeah.
So if it's to the side of you and you feel like you have to rescind your paddle, so to speak, you already like moved to the ball.
It's basically saying you made a decision to hit it and then realized it was out.
Unhit it. Yeah. But anyway,
It's a good question. It's a really good question.
Lever than most of the people I think at mine.
That's a skill. That is like literally a skill.
Yeah. And again, it gets back into the anticipation. And I was actually thinking this as a question myself, which I think I have a theory that I know the answer, but a lot of whether or not to leave a ball, the decision happens before they make contact.
100%.
A lot of it is, did they make a backswing? Where are they in the court? Are they in the mid-court?
Yes.
Where's their paddle swinging from? Where's their paddle angle?
I'm so happy
pointing?
you just said that. Like, if you see someone coming into the mid-court to rip a third or a fifth and they take this huge backswing and they're literally in the mid-court, like, I just duck. I literally just duck.
Just duck.
And I know I'm going to duck before they even touch the ball.
And if you want more of this awesome info, you still have time to sign up for the Jilly B and Sarah Ansbury Pickleball Masterclass
In North Carolina.
right before the North Carolina.
And I think we're going to do a lot more this year.
I think is a good segue, unless you had anything more to add on that, to North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm excited.
What are we looking forward to? We obviously covered that you're doing a clinic with Sarah and you're playing with Sarah again.
Yeah.
And your mixed partner is now Jake Kusmitter, the Lion King.
I can't get away from lefties. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you love a lefty.
I do.
Keep my baby on the left.
I love it. I love a lefty. No, I'm really excited. I mean, we're playing Jack Sock and Annalie Waters first round, so you can't ask for much more than that. On the women's side, we have a bye, and then we play Georgia Johnson and Megan Dizon. No easy first or second rounds anymore on the PPA tour.
Yeah,
It really comes down to like who's seeing the ball well. And I don't know if other pros like have this issue, but I swear there are days where I step on the court and I'm like, wow, I'm slow. I'm like losing hands battles to this 4-5 or 5-0 player. Like, what is wrong with me? And then there's days where I step on the court today and I was like literally unbeatable in hands battals. Like I could see the ball like it was moving in slow motion. Like I'm a hummingbird and everything is just happening in slow motion. And I want to like chemically figure out a way to recreate that. Like, is there a pill I can take? Is this why all these pros are on Adderall and Ritalin? Like, and actually I want to talk about that
PED
someday.
testing is coming.
Yeah, I want to talk about that someday because like my natural advantage is my supreme ability to focus for really intense and long periods of time, durations of time.
If you don't know, Jill once sat down for like 9 days and wrote 50,000 words into a novel.
Yeah. And that's my like superpower. And then you've got pros on Ritalin and Adderall, and it's like, cool, you have a prescription for that. So it's okay.
Yeah, where's your prescription for never cramping?
And so you have now like chemically altered in the form of a pill that you induce an ability to recreate like my natural gift, but I don't have your gift of being 6'4".
Right.
So like this is another topic for another pod, but I think it's just chalk it up to one of the absurdities along with like the paddle testing where like some people are being punished and others aren't, and some people can take Adderall. Like it's just, this sport has a lot of growing pains. A lot.
Yeah. Did you have any specific things you're looking forward to after playing your first tournament with Sarah this week?
Hopefully playing a lot more. I mean, I think we play really nice together. I know that a segment of the pod that a lot of people have written in asking that we recreate and continue is the data deep dive. So
by the numbers.
That
was actually our next segment. So are you ready to
absolutely
abandon North Carolina and move on?
I'm ready to abandon North Carolina and move on.
By the numbers. By the numbers.
What would you say the future of pickleball is often spoken about in many different categories, but one of the main problems you are constantly reminding us all is real estate. Mm-hmm. Where will the future of pickleball be played? And real quickly to circle back, in North Carolina, it's an indoor facility.
Lifetime.
Indoor facilities versus outdoor, where we think of most of tennis. Is pickleball going to be more of an indoor or an outdoor sport?
It's a great question, and it harkens back to a lot of time that I was really lucky to spend with the CEO of Lifetime, Bahram Akradi, who really is one of the most influential people in the sport that you may not know of. So he is, again, the CEO of Lifetime, who has invested over $500 million with a B dollars in the creation of courts, in the creation of new courts on land that he owns or has purchased, or in the conversion of his gyms into pickleball centers. When Steve Kuhn and I spoke to Bahram about this notion of 40 million players by 2030, Bahram looked us dead in the eye and said, you might be underestimating it.
Wow.
And so Lifetime is going to become, already is, the largest provider of pickleball courts and programming in the entire world. And what's interesting is they're doing it right. So something Bahram said to me was, any Tom, Dick, and Sally can go out and buy a warehouse or rent a warehouse, paint some lines, and have, successful, in quotation mark, pickleball club right now. But I'm building courts for the consumer and their needs 5-10 years down the road. So we've got the right viewing, the right spacing between the courts,
the right bathrooms,
and behind the courts, and the right bathrooms, and the right food and dining, right? It's a real experience. It's the Lifetime way. And kudos to them, because I think that foresight is already reaping massive benefits. And I read somewhere that if we're going to have 40 million players by 2030, which it appears we're on track to right now, but no additional infrastructure, that's 1,000 players per court right now, which is a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, wait times already on courts are pretty insane. So looking in my crystal ball, I'm no oracle of pickleball, but I have guessed a lot correctly in the past 2 years. Like, I am batting pretty freaking high for what has transpired in the pro and amateur game and what I thought would. So I see pickleball being played and the creation of courts being played in 3 locations or 3 different facets. Can you guess what those are?
In like, how am I answering this question? Like literally where, or
other than traditional tennis court conversion, where are we going to see the creation of new pickleball courts?
Oh, like when we were in Australia, how I was playing on a gym floor lined for badminton.
Exactly.
And then we went to outdoor courts that were previously used for handball.
Very good. So that is my question for you.
Different than the like whack a ball against a wall handball you see in New York City. But this is like girls netball. Netball? I think
netball.
Yeah, netball. Sorry. It's just a different sport. But yeah, where are they going?
So can you guess? Because I think it's going to be 3 keys.
Well, right now the like general auto is tennis courts. So obviously it's not tennis courts.
Right. I said other than tennis courts.
And racquetball, squash are like small and indoor. That doesn't make sense. So, but then you've got, you know, the wrong surfaces.
Well, I already said one with Lifetime. Gyms.
Gyms converting, and are they resurfacing in your mind?
So I mean,
they're just using the wood floor.
Lifetime literally went to some gyms in the Midwest and said, "Your gym is being converted to a pickleball club. Here's all your money back, but we'd love for you to join our pickleball club."
Yeah.
So I think gyms are a really natural place. 2, can you think of any massive indoor space unused and going out of business?
I was actually thinking reverse, like basketball nets. Outdoors, but go ahead. Spoiler.
Malls in America.
Okay.
So
I was thinking too narrow-minded with the sports.
It's okay. Obviously, physical retail, these triple net shopping centers, might be a thing of the past pretty soon.
Yeah.
And this notion that we can convert these millions of square feet indoor retail malls into pickleball, it's a pretty simple notion. You've got these huge flat surfaces. You've got companies like Pickle Roll that develop incredible court surfaces that prices are, you know, it's not super affordable, but the prices are coming down. And you can roll them out and have even pop-up pickleball experiences. So I think as a bridge to the full just conversion of these malls is like how you have pop-up Christmas shops, pop-up Halloween stores, pop-up pickleball at malls as a bridge to essentially full conversion of portions of malls.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting because like it comes back to that podcast we listened to about like LA Country Club being in real estate that would be so much more profitable if it were a mall, but they have already been a golf course. In reverse, like, do the economics of pickleball facilities equalize or get close enough or go beyond having a Best Buy and a Kohl's and a, you know, Claire's?
Yeah, because you have food and beverage. You've got
So
people
you think
spending
food and
3, 4, 5, 6 hours of their day in one spot. You've got bars that can survive. Granted, that's a lot less square footage, but it's usually higher value. Like on Main Street, you know, a 3,000 square foot bar, they're just selling liquor and food. You've got a little bit lower rent, you know, larger size pickleball centers, but they're selling F&B.
Yeah.
You've got people's attention for 6 hours. You can spend a lot of money in 6 hours. I think the third place is churches. Just kidding. But in all seriousness,
gyms, right?
like I started pickleball, at least my professional journey on a gym floor of a Mormon church. And amazing they let this kind of agnostic girl, daughter of a Catholic and a Jew, into the Mormon church to play pickleball. But
Mormons have
I
the
can't
best
tell you
extracurricular
They do.
activities.
I can't tell you how many people I know actually got started in their pickleball journey on a church floor.
Yeah.
But no, outside of churches and congregations, you've got red ball courts. So the USTA, the United States Tennis Association, has control over a lot of colored ball or progression ball courts. So you don't start like a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old on traditional yellow ball, which is the color of a traditional tennis ball size court. You start them on a smaller court, and with really minor modifications, those red and orange ball courts can be converted into the exact same size of a pickleball court. So then you can train the future generation on not just tennis, but pickleball too. And then those courts off hours are completely converted and equivalent to a pickleball court for adults. And I think that's a really natural next step as well. So maybe I tricked you a little bit because I said you can't talk about the conversion of a tennis court. This is kind of the conversion of a progression ball court.
Yeah. Well, I, for one, hope that all three of those come to light because, I mean, I just want to see the sport continue to grow.
Yeah, we have to do something.
Yeah, we totally need the space. I think malls is genius in a sense, but also like a little lofty perhaps now, maybe eventually. I mean, like,
well, like I said, there'll be a bridge of like pop-up.
Yeah, Indian Wells Tennis Gardens for nationals. It's like it's still way too big for pickleball, and that's the biggest pickleball event. But my main point being that we have a friend opening a facility in a recently defunct, now that Fry's is out of business, all of the Fry's locations, right? Like that one store. And like this happened to not Staples, but Circuit City, whatever, when I was in college. So like every Circuit City in the world had to become something else. And whatever the next big box store is that goes out, theoretically someone could just be like, okay, that location, it's already high ceilings and air conditioned and in the city center.
And that's basically what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but on like a little bit smaller scale than a mall. But hey, I hope it all happens. I actually kind of like the idea of indoor pickleball. What is your...
Who doesn't?
I thought you didn't.
Well, I just got to get my contact lenses ready for a lifetime.
No, yeah. It is a different view. I mean, I definitely prefer perfect weather outdoor, but being that weather isn't perfect, indoor can be a great backup plan.
Well, I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot to cover next week.
Oh my God, I just found the Myrna question. No, I didn't.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
All right, I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot to cover next week.
I have a feeling too. All right, for our real Jilly B question, our dear Jilly B question, I have one question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Since you fired away one K Dubby question. And this question is, Dear Jilly B, when in the midcourt, how can I quickly judge if the ball should be taken as an aggressive attack volley or should be a reset instead?
That is such a great question. It's something that I worked on all morning long today.
Oh, wow.
Yep, with my drilling partner, Kyron, who was working on the exact same thing. And the drill for this is one person start at the net and the other person start back. And the net player feed the ball. And don't feed easy, feed hard. And then try and work your way in and make it a point to hit all of your kind of mid-court, no man's land shots as aggressive as you can. And you will inherently, naturally start to get a feel for what you can and can't speed up. So first and foremost, the further back in the court you are towards the baseline, the harder it's going to be for you to speed that ball up. So number one, where are you in the midcourt? Like one step in the midcourt makes a big difference. 3 feet in the midcourt makes a big difference. And then of course, this is self-explanatory, but the height of the ball. Where's the ball?
Self-explanatory, but yeah. And
right.
And where would you define the difference between quote unquote no man's land versus quote unquote midcourt?
Yeah, exactly. I'd say 3 feet into the baseline is no man's land. The next 3 feet mid-court, the 3 feet after that, you're pretty close to the kitchen. That's 9 feet.
So how's one
that
Jilly
math?
Step, 2 Jilly Step,
yeah.
3 Jilly Step.
Basically 3 steps, for 2.5 steps for me.
Yeah. Jill always likes to say, get to the kitchen. It's only 2 steps. And I'm like, not everyone has your steps, but let's call it 3 max if you're lunging.
Well, that's a great question. And yeah, I'm excited for next week.
Yes.
You're not going to want to miss out on hearing about the Jack Sock and Annalie Waters match. Hopefully we have lots of little nuggets for you there. And always more data deep dives coming next week on how much does a pro pickleball player make? What does a sponsorship look like in the sport right now? What's the average prize money in a PPA versus an MLP? And I think most excitingly, what does the future of pro pickleball look like in comparison to how many MLP events will there be and how many traditional Pro Tour events will there be. And that's what we're going to be talking about next week.
We're going to really put your Oracle of Pickleball title to the test. Yes, I think everyone will really be curious about that. I think there's a lot to be said there. Well, thanks for that not so subtle hint that we are done with episode 6. So
see you next week.
Stay tuned for next week.
This Pickleball Life is a Tomahawk production. 100% organic and homegrown. Music by K Dub, editing by K Dub and Jilly B. Thank you to our sponsors, pbgods.com and No Thanks Ator. Do you have a question for Jilly B? Email us at thispblife@gmail.com to be included in future episodes. Don't forget to click subscribe.